Hi everyone, I'm back with Chapter 4 from The Natural Speaker, Selecting Your Topic. This is important, again. It will give you an insight on how to select your topic, but I do want to make note that most of your topics through the course will be selected for you simply so that I can get you on the path of getting used to giving speeches. However, this chapter will come in handy for your final project, and there's two things that I want you to remember. Even though this chapter gives you information about, ways to select your topic, there's two things I want you to remember when selecting it. Deep speaks to deep, and find something that you're passionate about, okay? Usually one person in the group can find something that they're passionate about and kind of others agree with it and are interested in learning about the topic. Okay, so it says on page 57, the first thing, it's your choice. Whether your speech is for a public speaking class, a sales presentation, an awards dinner, or a retirement roast, you will really be assigned specific speech topics, which kind of isn't true in this, but with us having more class time by you guys reviewing these videos on your own, we will have more freedom to select topics on our own, okay? It is more likely that you will be given a great deal of freedom and latitude in your selection of a topic, and like I said, in your final project, you guys have complete control, whether it be fiction, non-fiction, whatever it is. It's so exciting to me because I learn something new every semester. Okay? In the bottom it says, so select a topic that you feel strongly about. A topic with heart. In this chapter we examine 5 steps involved in selecting your topic and choosing the main points for your speech. The 5 steps are brainstorming possible topics, determining your speaking purpose, determining your specific purpose, selecting your main points, and analyzing your audience. Okay? So on page 58, right over to 60, it talks about brainstorming, okay? Brainstorming is the process of generating a huge amount of ideas without evaluation. So basically you're just coming up with whatever comes to your head, and from there then you slowly, cross off what you don't want, okay? It says the first task in brainstorming is to get away to a quiet place that is free from distraction and interruptions, okay? And that is so important. Just let your mind be free. And this is actually one of the test questions, the steps of brainstorming. Then it says the second task in brainstorming is to get crazy and write down anything that comes to your mind as possible speech topic. Most people can think of 1 or 2 topics when faced with a blank sheet of paper, but get really crazy and write down anything that comes to mind. Alright? And then the next thing is the most important requirement of this technique is free yourself from self-evaluation and criticism. No idea is too crazy, especially in my class. Okay? Then it gives you 4 things. Don't evaluate or judge any of your ideas. Quantity of ideas is desired, not quality. The wilder the idea is, the better, and combine ideas to create new ones. Alright? It says on page 59, and the first rule of brainstorming is for you not to evaluate any idea or suggestions during this brainstorming process. Once you get the hang of not judging, the process really takes off. Your task is to select 1 topic from the list of topics. Alright? Okay. On page 60, determining your speaking purpose. This is important. What is your purpose? What are you talking about? Why? Okay? It says, as you will recall, the 3 purposes of speaking are to inform, persuade, and entertain. Although a speech may contain a little of each category, you will need to decide which primary effect your talk will have on the listeners. Will it be to inform, persuade, or entertain? Alright, so your main purpose for, I always use your final as an example because that's the biggest portion of your grade. But the main purpose will be to persuade me why I should give you $5 million to invest in your foundation. However, you may add a little entertainment, and you still need to start off by informing me of what your cause is. Okay. At the bottom of page 60, it says determining your speaking purpose. The specific purpose states exactly what you want to do with your audience and what you want to tell them. For instance, the specific purpose to persuade my audience to get annual physical examination specifies both goals. First, it states what you want to do with the audience to persuade, and second, it states what you want to tell them to get an annual physical examination. Notice that the specific purpose is stated in the infinitive form of a verb, too. So it clearly stipulates which are the three speaking purposes it is setting out to accomplish. And then it gives some examples of specific purpose statements under each header. On the bottom of page 61, it talks about selecting your main points. The main points are those 2 or 3 supporting thoughts or ideas you wish to present in the body of the talk. These main points make up the skeleton or structure of the speech body and provide the direction the speech will take. Common mistake beginning speakers make at this point of the process is settling for the first 2 or 3 main points that come to mind, and they don't think of any other main points. They stop the process right there and call it quits. I find this a lot when I assign a topic that's why I've designed my course now. You need to do more research to do your speeches, because I have found that people will get up and just, students are not digging deep, and they will all like say the same thing over and over and over again because they just did whatever, you know, came to them first. It says your first thoughts are not always your best. In this method of selecting main point runs the risk of missing better main point possibilities that you would surface only after you've researched the speech topic sufficiently. It is only after you have spent considerable time and effort researching your subject that the main points of your speech begin to appear. Alright? Research, research. You're in college. You got to research. Then it just, on page 62, talks about brainstorming main points. And on page 63, it says the next step as in the brainstorming process for topic selection is to examine the list and eliminate weaker items on the basis of speaker interest, previous knowledge and experience, and possible audience interest in main points. It says the speech topic and main point structure do not mysteriously appear. Their creation takes some time and effort by you, the speaker. It involves the commitment to sit down by yourself and brainstorm possible topics and main points. It requires making decisions about the topic and main points you're going to be working with as you research, outline, and practice before you present your speech. That is why you have probably about, it usually works out to 13 weeks by the time we get going in the semester to work on your final project, because you need that time to really research and figure out what you're doing. On page 63, now this will come in more handy when you are out in the work world and have to give a speech, because let me tell you, many of you will think that I'm going to just take this course, I'll never have to speak again, I have to fulfill a requirement. You will at some point in your life have to give a speech, whether it be a wedding, many times in business now, or even being in the healthcare field. You have to be on committees and teams. I can't stress that enough. You will always have to give some type of a speech, whether it be impromptu. Even if you're a nurse, you have to give speeches to doctors, management. It does not matter what your occupation is. You will always have to be giving a speech. So on page 63, it talks about analyzing your audience. In class, we will be the same audience for the next 13, 14, 15 weeks. However, once you are out and have to do this on your own, you need to analyze your audience, okay? It talks about on page 64, audience analysis is the process of trying to understand your audience so that you can improve your communication with them. In other words, you need to learn as much about your audience as you can to adapt your speech in ways that they will receive, understand, and appreciate. It's important to remember that without the audience, there is no speech and there is no speaker. The audience is the reason for the speech. So a perfect example is, say that you were asked to give a speech at an AA meeting, okay, to recovering alcoholics. You're going to analyze your audience. You're obviously not going to go in there and talk about the new microbrewery down the road, okay? Do you understand what I mean? Okay, the first thing on page 64, audience interest. Will the audience be interested in this topic, okay? You're not going to go talk to a bunch of middle school kids about, I don't know, about, let's see, what's a good topic? You're not going to go talk to a bunch of middle school kids about being a housewife, okay? Because they're not going to understand. They're not going to be interested. They don't understand it. Page 65, it says, it's vital that you consciously shift your attention to your audience and their interests and not stay stuck in what only interests you, because that is boring. Page 65, audience knowledge. The second area you need to examine as you analyze your audience is their knowledge of the topic. You have to determine the audience's knowledge of that topic. So if you're maybe a sales rep and you're selling a new drug, and you need to go talk to a bunch of doctors and say, let's say the new drug is for heart problems. You're not going to go into a dermatologist and talk about this drug for heart problems because a dermatologist wouldn't know anything about that. The next one is audience attitude. Analyzing the attitude of the audience is the third area of examination. Why is the attitude of the audience? What is the audience's attitude regarding your topic? Are they in favor? Are they opposed? Or are they neutral in attitude? This you need to know. A good example of this is if you're given a speech at maybe a town meeting about something that the audience is furious about, but you want it, you need to know their attitude and adjust your speech accordingly. The next one is audience demographics. This is one of the most important demographic factors you need to consider is the cultural backgrounds of your audience. No longer are the audiences of the United States strictly Anglo-European, but now a mixture of many cultural heritages. African American, Asian American, Mexican American, Native American, and numerous other cultural backgrounds populate the audiences you will be addressing now and in the years to come. Adopting and developing a spirit of cultural awareness and sensitivity is necessary and desirable if you are to be an effective speaker. It is not the intent of this book to describe the cultural differences of the various groups, but rather to invite you to begin and continue exposing yourself to cultural differences, cultures different from your own. So an example of this is maybe you have a cultural group where maybe they live in the U.S., but in their home countries and where they're from, they are set up in arranged marriages, okay? You are not going to go into that group and talk about speed dating because that's not something that's going to interest them. Okay. The next one, page 66, it's gathering information about your audience. It says you can learn more about your audience by direct observation, surveys, interviews, and the contact person. And then it just goes through all of those different ways that you can do that. That is it for Chapter 4. And the areas where you really want to pay attention for the test are the methods of brainstorming. About it, the topic being your choice, but really the brainstorming is the biggest portion of this part of the test. Determining your specific purpose and analyzing your audience. the biggest part of it is analyzing your audience and brainstorming possible topics. All right, that's it for chapter 4.